So, Joe, it's 1948. You're off from high school now. You're now on scholarship at the University of Kentucky. You played your 2 years there under the legendary, they call him the Baron Adolph Rupp. Talk to us about some of the fond memories you have of the 2 years you spent there at UK as a player.
Well, no question. The first game, we played in the old alumni gym. It seated about 2,700, and it was a packed house every night. In fact, they had to alternate student admissions. Mm-hmm. You either had a red or a blue card or a or a B pass, and on half of the games, the A students went in, and the other half, the ones that had B cards, were admitted. So it was a great atmosphere, and I guess I'll never forget the first time I ever ran on the court with the band playing the fight song and Kentucky across my chest. And the hair stands up on the back of my neck every time I remember that situation, and it just was the greatest thrill that a young kid from this state could have.
Wow. And so, Joe, you played on the second year, I guess it was, you played on a national championship team. What kind of fond memories do you have of, here you are, you just a couple years ago, you're throwing touchdown passes in high school, and now you're playing on a national collegiate basketball championship team.
The thing about it, after I transferred to Sewanee, George, I set the scoring record at that small school in my third game. Mm-hmm. And I came back to UK for the SEC tournament that year, and I was in the locker room with Coach Rupp and Coach Lancaster. And Coach Lancaster asked me, he said, "Why didn't you ever score like that for us?" And I said, "Harry, who guarded me in practice?" He said, "I don't know who guarded you." And I said, "Ralph Beard."
Yeah.
I said, "I couldn't even get a shot off on that guy."
Yeah.
All-American 3 years in a row. And first guy to ever be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Mm-hmm. And that's what I experienced. I think the year that I spent on the varsity, I was totally in awe of the players that I played with. And it's awful hard to develop the confidence and the filling that role as the guy that scores. I mean, to me, it was give the ball up, play some defense, and pass to Ralph.
So you were one of the original role players.
I was one of the most. I accepted the role very eagerly.
Somewhere, Joe, I read where you were quoted as saying when you played for Coach Rupp, you were a little bit intimidated by him. Talk to us about that.
Well, Coach Rupp was very distant. You only saw him at practice. Uh-huh. I mean, he wasn't one that visited the dorm or got to know your parents or was just so distant from being close to the players. Mm-hmm. And he was very gruff, and about all he ever did was yell at you. So you accepted the position that you had, and you accepted his authority, and I think that was one of his strengths. Mm-hmm. He had the respect of his players, his success, and what he had accomplished, and his demanding of the way you played the game, the tempo you played at. He was way ahead of his time in creating the tempo of a total aggressiveness, both offensively and defensively. Mm-hmm. I think he was known for his fast break, for his quick scoring, for his high scoring. He developed a fast-paced, attractive style of basketball that made this state just wild about the game.
Joe, when you look back now, give us a couple of life lessons that you learned from Coach Rupp that maybe you even have them as prized possessions now?
I think the main thing that I learned from Coach Rupp was the demand for perfection, the attention to detail, the development of whatever you're doing through practicing the right way, and organization. Mm-hmm. And I took from him when I went into coaching, organizing my practices, making sure that I covered every detail of the game before the first game and had my team prepared for whatever came up. And my players always had faith that they knew what to expect and how to cope with whatever defense or offense they face. And Coach Rupp was an extreme disciplinarian. He demanded respect not only for himself but for the game of basketball. Mm-hmm. You had to respect the game, what it meant, what you were a part of, and the sum of the parts were bigger than the parts. You had to fit in as a teammate, and you had to make the supreme contribution that you were capable of making.